What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Model Breakdown. It's been a while, but this is where I look at one particular kit in question, be it a single model kit, full on squad, vehicle, whatever, and I give you, at first, my overall thoughts and opinions on the kit, likes and dislikes, anything notable about its history of the kit in question, and whatever. Then from there, I'll go over some basic thoughts on building and painting said kit. I haven't done everything, but I've done enough to have a basic plan of attack that can help maybe some somebody figure out their battle plan for building and painting. And then from that, I'll talk about my thoughts on whether or not I feel the kit in question needs to be redone. And regardless of whether or not I feel that way, if UW came to me and said, hey, we're redoing this kit, give us your thoughts, what I would give them. So, with that said, the kit up on the chopping block this time, I already did a video on it getting the boot, getting it out of here, right? But I thought, why not also talk about it in a model breakdown to kind of go a little bit further than just why I think it needs to be gone. And this is the Chaos Mutilator kit. This is a resin kit. It is something that is a byproduct of UW's kind of fad, if you will, of having range stuff have a melee counterpart, and so on. Now, the Mutilators are their own kit. It's sometime I think after this kit that GW tried, basically did everything having that was kind of a combo deal, like two separate squads, but could be built from one kit. This is its own kit, and it wouldn't have surprised me if they did make it a combo kit, but they decided not to redo the Obliterators at that point. So the Chaos Obliterators existed prior to the Mutilators, and the Mutilators are their melee variant. It's a kit nobody asked for, but we have it. So with that said, I'm not a fan of this kit, hence why getting the boot is a thing for them. But one thing that I think they did do a decent job with is the tortured faces of the Mutilators themselves. That's rather well done. Outside of that, nothing else really works for me. The armor, where we see it, is typical Terminator style armor, and it's not bad. It's just a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger than what is standard. But it's not awful. It is a kind of a little bit too, I think, wide and thick and stuff compared to Terminator armor, but I think that's to convey their monstrous nature. It's not like the detail is bad. It's not like it's a 38 detail or anything like that. When it came out probably, I think, late 5th or whatever. So it's not like it looked like it's behind the times necessarily when it came out. It's just not doing anything particularly well. The idea behind these guys is that they were traitor Legion Terminators, and that they are warp distressed, where flesh and metal are fused together. That shows stretched tendons and flesh erupting like infections across their thick riveted armor. I don't see many rivets. And their gigantic claws that protrude from their arms and even their shoulder pads that mark them as demonic. So, I don't really feel like it's tortured flesh and metal. I feel more so they just put flesh details on top of the armor. It doesn't really feel tortured or distressed, in my opinion. The blades erupting from their shoulder pads don't really feel like they are erupting for anything. They just kind of feel like they've been placed there. It's not really conveying, in my opinion, the thought process behind what they're trying to do. And the Obliterators worked out fine, because the Obliterators, being ranged weapon guys, right? All their stuff that's on their tortured flesh and their old and even their new model stands out as a ranged weapon that you can make a correlation to and go, hey, that's a chain gun or that's a missile pod or whatever, and you go, great, I can see what's going on here amongst all the craziness. Here, they kind of, I think, backpedaled a bit and gave us what looked like what was once like a chain axe or a chain glaive, but now they have everything else just being like organic-y, supposed to be demon talons and whatnot, and I think it falls short of the mark. I think instead, if it was very clearly a power fist or lightning claw that is mutated and has another weapon spitting out of it or erupting out of it or whatever, or whatever the case might be, it would have done a lot better. Instead, it feels almost like we have generic fantasy demon shard blades sticking out of things that don't really feel very 40k aesthetic-y, but it tries to be because it's on a Terminator model. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. Some people might love this. I don't know. But I also don't think it's doing particularly well. There's a lot of dislikes from me on this kit. It's a little lackluster and definitely did not age very well. And for me, a huge problem is when you look at one of these models straight on in this 3 model kit, and you look straight on them, the torso and arms have a big gap between each other that is like this nub that sticks out that you glue the arm onto. It reminds me vaguely of, for some reason, of Mega Armored Knobs, the old Mega Armored Knobs anyway, and Dreadnoughts. Basically, the way it's glued on there, it doesn't feel like somebody's wearing the armor now. Because of where it glues on, everything is too high and everything else. You know, mutilation and mutation can only go so far. It's still meant to be worn like armor. And it doesn't work when you see where the nubs are when they glue it and everything. You know, for where you glue it and everything, it's just way too high and sticks out too far. And Terminator armor never really did that. So that doesn't help either. But as far as the details that are there and everything, they are not super, fuzzy or diluted or anything. It's sharp enough and crisp enough detail to make out stuff. It doesn't get lost, and that's to his credit. You don't get lost in looking at all this supposed flesh coming off the metal and wondering what's going on here, right? So that is helpful, although I imagine when you're looking at a bare model and painting it up, it might be a little confusing at first glance. You have to probably put a base coat down or something to get a better sense of it. But anyways, that's just some thoughts on the Mutilators kit in question. So with that said, I'm not a fan of it. It's not like, oh, I hate it, it's the worst thing ever. I mean, there's definitely been worse kits out there from GW and other companies as well. But it's a kit that I don't think anybody asked for or really cares about. And it tries. It tries to showcase that, there's piping and cables that are going out of the armor and into flesh and vice versa. And almost bone-like stuff that seems to be erupting out of it. But it's just not... It's like they tried but didn't commit. So it doesn't really convey the idea that well. Anyways, with that said, if you are so inclined to pick up and paint one of these guys, build and paint it, they are resin detailed kits. So it makes 3 Chaos Space Marine Mutilators, which means each one has 8 pieces that put together because there's 24 total pieces. I'm not sure exactly what those 8 pieces would be per model. I haven't seen one of these in there, unassembled or anything, so I don't know, truth be told. I could try and find out real quick, but I don't know how they come separate, and I know when I did look last time for these guys, I didn't see them in bit form, so I don't know exactly how they go together. I have to imagine that the body, of course, is separate from the arms. The arms might be 2 pieces, so that would give you 4, and then at least 2 pieces for the body, so that would give you 6. And I don't know if maybe the blades and the shoulder pads are separate or something. I just can't tell because I haven't seen these guys, like I said, in their unpainted, unassembled state. So not 100% certain. But it looks like maybe, and I'm trying to find a picture to look at, maybe it depends on which mutilator you're looking at. Maybe one of the mutilators has the shoulder pad as part of it, and whatever else, not really certain. Not really feeling exactly how it goes. But regardless, They aren't going to be the most complicated things to put together at all. And I would keep certain parts separate where you can, right? Because the arms are thick pieces and big pieces and block a decent amount of the side of the armor and whatever. So whatever you can keep separate, I recommend keeping separate, painting up in sub-assemblies and then gluing it together. I think for the most part, I think any color scheme you're going for, you can still do the flesh first, because the flesh would definitely benefit for some dry brushing and washing concepts. That might be a little bit messy, and then you clean up everything around it. So that would be my suggestion to you, and then maybe try and file down where the arms attach and make it feel a bit more organic and correct, if you will. But that's just extra work if you so desire. That's my thoughts on building and painting said kit. Now, do I think these guys need a redo? Well, I told you already. I did a getting the boot ramble on them. They were my first getting the boot ramble. There's more to come. I just haven't put them out yet. So yeah, definitely feel like they need a redo at minimum, or just get rid of the Mutilator entry and Mutilator kit completely. And I don't really think many people would care at all. But if you want to keep them around, GW definitely needs to redo them. Now, I don't know if they plan to redo them. And if they do, I don't know if they want to give them the Obliterator treatment. What I mean by the Obliterator treatment is that the Obliterator models, the new ones, are bigger than what they were before. They're bigger, more monstrous thing. I don't know if the Mutilators will be given the same treatment or not. Regardless, I'll just talk about things they can do regardless of going to stay the same size or get bigger that'll work no matter what. And the first thing is, instead of trying to make them feel demonic and giving them just claws that protrude out from everywhere, do the Obliterator tactic. And that is, make most of the weaponry, and at least in this case, with the Obliterator is all their weaponry, but at least here, make most of the weaponry feel like it was once a piece of war gear. A lightning claw, a power fist or a chain fist, power axe, power sword, power maul, chain, axe, whatever. An amalgamation of stuff like that on their arms, or looks like, make the arm look like it's actively turning into an axe or something. Just anything like that. If you're gonna have blades protrude from their shoulder pad, have the armor look rent and cracked open, and it actually look like it's coming out of the armor. Same thing for the flesh overgrowth and whatnot. If it's going to be a tortured and warped, distressed armor and flesh, have it actually feel that way and not just look like you have flesh draped across armor. Make the armor look a little bit more distressed, less pristine, where you can see just armor. Because right now, where there isn't flesh trying to come out of it, the armor looks more or less pristine. And if the armor looked cracked and tortured a bit more, that would go very far in helping convey the idea. But other than that, I think, if you're trying to make them feel demonic, another kit that feels demonic that does great is the Possessed. Chaos Possessed power armored guys are possessed by demons, right? And it is conveyed really well, not just with the bits for like wings and whatnot, which do a good job, but also just in showcasing tortured armor, overgrown flesh, mutated weaponry when they were once holding a power sword or whatever, or a chain sword. That is done so well. And it's not just flesh everywhere like it is with the Mutilator. So I think if they did that concept on the Mutilator, borrowed the aesthetic designs of the Possessed and made it in Terminator form, you would have a fantastic Mutilator kit. So that's what they would have to do. A full systemic overhaul, get rid of the whole just jagged, generic shards of blade, claw concepts, and have it be actual weaponry. And if you're going to have something spiky erupt from the armor, have it look like it actually bursts through from the inside. Make the armor feel a bit warped, tortured, and distressed, and cracked, and rent. And that's how the Mutilator concept is going to, I think, work out better. Or just get rid of everything, right? Anyways, with that said, that's my thoughts for model breakdown for the Chaos Mutilators. A kit that definitely needs some strategic overhauling and full-on, complete systemic change. But what are your thoughts? Are you one of the fans of the Mutilators? If so, that's fine. Share why in the comment section down below. If not, share your thoughts in general. And thanks very much for sticking through it. Until next time, Take it easy.